Hey everyone, welcome to the stream. This is your weekly cloud, DevOps, and career Q&A with me. And yeah, it's Tuesday, 10:30 a.m. and 9 p.m. in India right now. So let me know where you all from are joining from. I know that I try to keep these both, Eastern time and IST time friendly, and I already see some chat. And hey, I got my plugin working, so you can look at the chat live on the stream now. And I believe I can highlight comments too. There we go. So yeah, welcome to the stream. Let me know. You can get started with your questions. Shoot them my way through chat, and I'll start getting through them. Okay, so a lot of highs and hays and how I'm doing. I'm doing great. It's been so I'm technically on vacation, uh, but I've 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 been building a project. Specifically, this is a demo that I want to do for Twilio. So I've been busy with that, but then also just ending up the semester. So grading and checking exams and just the creating the result for the cloud course that I teach at the college, and then I am kind of done. So hopefully I'll get that done by today, and officially I'll be on vacation starting tonight. So looking forward to that. I have my sibling coming over from Alberta, so we'll probably game and have some time to chill. Even though it's almost 2 days that it has been snowing continuously, so not a great weather to be outside, but still excited and looking forward to wind down as the year ends. And just I was writing some stuff yesterday and just reflecting back on 2020 and how like I feel proud of the achievements that I did, and also of the mistakes that I did, because I at the end I learned from them. So just reflecting back, expect a video about my 2022 learnings, and how the year has been and what I look forward to for 2023. But yeah, with that being said, I think that it was just my way of saying how I'm doing and welcoming you all to the stream. So we have got our first question on how to get started with GCP. Okay. So for GCP, I think, the one thing I loved about Google Cloud Platform is if you go into their console and you start, looking around, they have tutorials or, steps and guides built into the UI itself. Like there will be a pop up on the right hand side that will tell you. So if I open App Engine, it will be like, hey, do you want to see a tutorial or a demo on how to get started with the App Engine? And the instructions are on the right hand side. So it's great with in regards to documentation that's available for GCP. What I would do is start with an introductory course on GCP. If you're a course person, there are books available too. Let me look up the course real quick here. So, and I think they came out with a foundational certificate too. So it's called um, Cloud Digital something, Digital Leader. GCP Cloud Digital Reader is the one. So if I can share my screen here. So Andrew has got you covered with his free course on Free Code Camp. I will start with that. I think this is a great learning point for GCP, right? Don't sit the exam. Don't feel obligated to sit the exam, but just I think this gives you a good structured learning path. And then Cloud Skills Boost is what I use for my, you know, upskilling in GCP. But then again, I think there is a subscription, and for me, it was paid by Google. So if you can get your employer to pay for that, that's awesome. But I would start with this here. And then I also, if you want to move further, I would say the ACE, which is the Associate Cloud Engineer exam. I think you should go for that next. And that you should definitely sit. I think it'll be a nice addition to your resume, right? And can I think it's a good exam overall. So I have a video if you can I'm hovering over it. It's called Pass Your Google Cloud Associate Engineering Exam. So let's see. I'll share it with you. So Shivam, I think that'll help you for getting started. GCP is exam, and I've shared my resources and tools I used and how much time did it take to prepare for this exam. This was also a requirement by my employer. So when I worked at Google, you had to sit this exam, I think within given time frame after joining Google. So there's that. Okay. Webhub says, hi bro, love from Sharpur. So Sharpur is my hometown. That's where I grew up. It's a small town in North India. So thank you. It's great to see people joining from my hometown. Okay, Shantanu says, any idea on how can we learn Python for DevOps and how can we bring it into our projects? I do have a video coming, and I'm also working on something that is specifically for DevOps for Python. So if you're familiar with 90 Days of DevOps, it's a repo by Michael Cade, right? It's pretty popular. I think it has like 20,000 stars on GitHub now. So I'll add Python to that repo so that, people can upskill in Python specifically for DevOps. But then if you're looking to get started, I think CS50 for Python is a great course, right? The one that I took was from a cloud guru. And this is back when I was a cloud engineer trying to learn like coding languages or concepts. So I chose Python, and there was like a 3-hour introductory, scripting course on a cloud guru that I took. Again, a cloud guru is paid. So at that time, my employer was paying for this. But yeah, I think you'll find a lot of YouTube resources on this. And the approach that I took is if you can write, so Pulumi is infrastructure as code tool that has SDKs in different programming languages. So you can define your infrastructure using Python. Like Terraform uses HCL, which is their own proprietary language, but with Pulumi, you can use Python. So look for projects like that where you can automate infrastructure or automate, the deployments using Python. So that's what I do. That's what my approach was. Building automation scripts, whether it be for testing or for deployments. Yeah, I think it was good practice because I had that production access, and like all of the code that I was writing was gonna end up being used at our company. I hope that helps. So Bhargav says, does DevOps, or I guess, is DevOps mandatory? No. If you find it interesting, then I would say go for it. Like it's not mandatory. Nothing is mandatory. Tech is a really big field, and you can have different roles that speak to your strengths, that interest you the most. So you just have to gotta find what you love, and doesn't have to be in tech. Like I'm not trying to push that you need to get into tech. No, it's only gonna work if you really want to get into tech and specifically DevOps. But there are many other roles that you can go for. So Jagat Jeevan says, what job is in demand, DevOps engineer or cloud engineer? I think both are in demand. Um, Jagat Jeevan, so I have, and again, it might sound like I'm saying, I have these things that are planned and stuff, but I specifically have a article that is very detailed on the impact and the demand that cloud has. The only thing is it'll be published on, I'm hoping it'll be published on the college website. So the college that I graduated from and I work for. And I'll send the link to you, but I've done like I spent a lot of time researching on roles and like the demand and how students can pursue a career in cloud, right? I also have a video, but that doesn't talk about the demand itself, but it talks about the salaries. Oh, you're at 1.6K views. That's nice. So Jagat Jeevan, if you want to check that out, cloud roles in Canada. But yeah, I feel like there's demand. There's demand for both DevOps and cloud roles. The only thing is that you might not be able to find entry level DevOps roles. That's what I found as a challenge in the like the GTA area. So GTA meaning Greater Toronto area is there is a lack of beginner or entry level DevOps role. But I've seen entry level cloud or associate, junior, whatever you want to call it, cloud roles pretty actively pushed. So keep a lookout for that. But I think both of the roles are in demand. Hey Rishabh, how are you? I'm good. So I just talked about things that I've been planning and what I've been just up to and just reflecting on the year 2022. But yeah. Okay. So Mayur says, which skills should I develop as a student of computer programming and analysis? Oh, so I'm guessing you are doing CPA or CAPA in sense computer programming and analysis, which is a 3-year diploma at many of the Canadian colleges. That is my guess. The skills you should have, I feel like you would have to niche down, but like figure out what you want to be, like a full stack or a front end or a back end developer, right? And if these 3 roles are not something that you want to do, I would say, pivot towards, cloud and DevOps or whatever is that interests you. It could be UI, right? It could be UX designer. But yeah, the skills you'll learn in computer programming and analysis courses, they are beneficial in a lot of the other roles, not just being a developer. So if you go into DevOps, you're gonna be fine. You'll have an edge to other. Like for me, if you compare yourself to me, I'm just giving an example. Like I'm not a developer or great at programming stuff, so I think you'll have that. You'll stand out if you develop cloud and DevOps skills. But again, I would say focus on languages that are popular. So if front end is something that you're excited about, learn a JavaScript framework, can be React, Vue, figure out what is popular in your local area, and then work towards that. Similarly, if you have an interest for Python, I would say go for it. Learn about Flask, Django, and how you can build APIs and do build a project that is like a full stack project. And I think I would have worked towards that, because skills that are being already taught at the college, right? You just have to show what you're learning, and to do that, you need projects. So yeah, just keep your GitHub strong. Learn Git. So that's also another skill that you should have is learn Git, familiarize yourself with how a version control system works. Photoshop recipe says, is DevOps a highly paid job? I think so. So I'm doing a quick search on average salary. I've done it for the cloud roles and I shared the video, right? You can check that out. I shared a lot of salary and insights on how much you can earn in the cloud. But for DevOps right now in Canada, the average salary is $116,000 and it can go upwards to $160,000, which is good. I'd say it's a good salary, given that the average salary for software developers in Canada is around that. And I'm talking about average. I'm not talking about like the high, paying companies and maybe 20, 10-20% engineers that make $200,000-$300,000. This is average salaries in Canada. But yeah, um, I would say it's a high paying job compared to other professions. So here's the number, 116,000. Okay, Shivam says, thank you so much. Yeah, let me know if you need any other help in regards to your GCP adventures, right? Um, I don't know what the name is, but it says RH. So I'll just read the question. Hi, Rishabh. Have you done a lot of Azure Functions before? If yes, how do you find the documentation for it? I'm not a huge fan, probably because of my non-developer background. Interesting. Interesting. Yeah, that could be a reason. Um, I found it pretty accurate. I started learning not learning, but this or playing with Azure Functions 2 years ago, almost now. Uh, and you all know my my Azure Resume API that are built with the Azure Functions with an HTTP trigger. Um, but yeah, I think it was easy to start with for me. Like I love Microsoft Learn and the modules they have to learn a specific service or even a programming language. So yeah, that is interesting. Um, I don't. Yeah, I haven't like looked at any videos or courses for Azure Functions. For for me, yeah, the Microsoft Learn documentation was enough. But what I would say is I also use there's a video coming out early next year for Azure Functions. Um, but like you'll have to wait. Like I can't publish it right now. For me, the extension that VS Code has changed how I work with Azure Functions. Like you can develop a function locally, test it, and then deploy it to Azure. So that's game changing. So I would say look out or like look into the VS Code extension for Azure Functions. It's great. Like it just helps developing functions easier. Okay, is it okay to start with cloud in second last year of CSE? Yeah, start whenever you make the decision. Like if yeah, time doesn't matter. like for me, I just regret that I didn't start earlier, right? So if you are already regretting that you haven't started learning cloud, you should do it now. Is what I'm trying to say. You'll have a lot of head start. I started learning cloud after my diploma, so it's good that you're thinking about starting to learn cloud now. Nelson, hey Nelson says, how friendly are entry level cloud roles to individuals from a different continent? Hmm, that is interesting. So I have found that it's pretty hard to get an employer to sponsor you if you're from different continent. And the way I'm seeing this question, Nelson, is you're trying to come to Canada or trying to land a cloud engineer role in Canada. If not, let me know in the chat. But um, that's how I understand your question. Um, because I only know about the job market in Canada, so I'm guessing you're applying from another continent to a role in Canada, and it's hard for like employer sponsorships. It's hard to get an employer to sponsor you. And what I would say is build but there are sites I can tell you. Reach out to me on LinkedIn, Nelson, and we can talk about it in depth. But what I've found is it's hard for an employer to sponsor you until unless they are having a really hard time finding someone with a specific skill set. And that's when I would say, you will have to work hard on what you have built in terms of projects and the skills that you have. And if you stand out enough, they will be willing to sponsor you. But again, it will take some hard work on your end, as compared to for someone like, you know, in Canada, it's easy because of the legality reasons of moving someone from a different country into Canada. Okay. Can I know your skills as a fresher, or what skills are needed so that I can develop as a cloud engineer? Um, Bhargav, go check out Learn to Cloud. Everything is listed there. Um, and I can just show you. So if I go to learn to cloud.guide, it's a guide for you on how to get into cloud computing. It talks about what this guide is, right? And then you just start from phase zero, starting from zero, and then work your way towards phase. So let's say you want to go up to phase three. I think you'll have really good, solid foundation to get started with. But yeah, I would say go check out learn2cloud.guide. So I'm going to type it in the chat. And you'll find everything. You'll find a path to enter cloud. You'll find resources to use. How you got a job in Canada? Can you give some tips? I'm searching from last 3.5 years. Roshni, so I'm not sure. Are you in Canada? So I came to Canada as an international student. I did my 2 years of diploma. Part of that diploma was to do a co-op for 2 months. I got a co-op as a junior IT admin. And so I did that for 2 months. And after doing that for 2 months, I was given a full-time offer to work as a technical support specialist. So after a year as a tech support person, during that year, I learned and figured out that cloud computing and like the impact and how like a good of a career you can have. And so I started learning AWS, really loved it. So I'm like, okay, I want to be a cloud engineer. And then after a year in tech support, I was promoted to a cloud engineer role. And then I worked in the cloud engineer role for 2 years, moved to DevOps. So I worked for 4 years at the same company where I had my co op. And then I moved to Google this year, and now Twilio. So, like, for me, it was Indeed and um, my professors that kind of helped me with the co-op in the first place, right? And then since I stayed there for 4 years, um, after that, I think like the all the content and stuff I put on LinkedIn, I was reached out by a Google recruiter, and that's how I landed my Google gig. For Twilio, it was just a direct message to like the recruiter or the job posting. So I saw the job posting for developer evangelist and applied for it. But yeah, I'm not sure about your skill set, Roshni. Um, but let's say if I was me, 3 years ago when I learned the cloud and was trying to get promoted to cloud engineer, and let's say I didn't get promoted and I had to move to different companies, it would have been Indeed and putting myself out there. So all the things that I did in 2020, I would have done in 2018, like publishing blog articles, talking about AWS in on LinkedIn, right? Because that just like catches attention of recruiters and um, yeah. So and that's how I said like I landed my Google role. So just be out there, talk to people, network, right? Look at job boards like Indeed and LinkedIn. I don't know. I haven't used LinkedIn Jobs as much as I've used Indeed or um, and I feel I'm also at a point in my career where like I'm at a good point in my career, right? And if there is something I would be willing to work on, I'm just directly gonna go. So let's say I want to work for, I don't know, like in case of Twilio, like I found about the job posting on Twilio's career site, right? And let's say if I want to work for Microsoft 3 years from now, like I'll just go to careers.microsoft.com and then look for job postings. Um, but then again, for someone starting out in their career, it can be, overwhelming and, but yeah, look out for. Also, I think a great place to start your career is small to medium sized businesses. Like, if you see my growth, like, that's the most amount of growth I've had was at a small or a medium sized business where I had my co op and then tech support, promoted to cloud engineer, and DevOps. And I learned a lot of new things. Um, and there's, I won't say no competition, but a lot less competition compared to big companies. So there's that. Okay. Roshan says, is degree really important to get remote job? Like I'm pursuing BCA, so I'm eligible for software roles abroad. Currently learning DSA and full stack in one sem. So for degrees, they're not important. Um, not important. I would say they're not necessary. I don't have a degree, and I think I'm doing fine. But my case is different because I'm in Canada, and you said you're looking for roles abroad, which means I'm assuming you're from India or some other country, and you're looking for roles that are outside of your country. In that case, yes, it'll make a difference. But at the end, all it comes down to is your skills and things you can talk about and solutions you can build. So if you have your skills, if you have you know how to talk about them, you have portrayed them somewhere publicly, so GitHub or you have written blog articles about it, you'll be fine. Also network through LinkedIn or Twitter, I don't know, use whatever works, to folks that are in that country where you want to go. So Miracle says, is TryHackMe good for cloud security? I'm not sure if they have specific modules for cloud security. Like I've tried TryHack Me for Linux stuff. Um, Let me log in and see. Give me a quick second. Learn. Do they have cloud security here? No. But yeah, to some extent, you need to familiarize yourself about threats, you know, penetration, and basically how cybersecurity is, SQL injection, because all of this can happen in cloud too. And that's what you have to take from like the cybersecurity world and also bring it to your cloud security world, right? Um, and I think, yeah, it'll definitely help you understand the basics of security, and that will help you building a good foundation for pursuing cloud security. So I would say it is good, um, but just don't do like every learning path. I think few of them are really good. Like introduction to cybersecurity is really good. I know. Um, Web fundamentals, because that's how computers are connected. So um, learn how web apps can be vulnerable and exploited. So yeah, I think it's a good resource to get those fundamentals in. Nelson says, I'm trying to land an entry level role in Canada. I'm not in Canada at the moment. So yeah, Nelson, like the tips I suggested is, network with people that are from Canada, and see if, and also like build skills, right? Build projects that stand out. Like for you to stand out, and for a company to say, hey, I want to hire Nelson, um, because I can't find a candidate good enough here. Like you'll need them to advocate for you. Like you need to impress them to a certain point that they're willing to bring you to Canada. And the way you do it is, by portraying the skills that are needed by them. So build projects, connect, network with people, write articles, like whatever your form of, um, explaining technical stuff is. It could be GitHub, right? Build cloud projects that are hosted on GitHub. Make sure documentation is like right on point. Talk about that project on LinkedIn. Talk about the intention of you coming to Canada, and just building that, going out in the public and telling like what your goals are and what you're trying to achieve. You'll find people that are either trying to do same or have already done it in the past, and then you'll know like how they did it. Or you will even find a recruiter maybe on LinkedIn that'll reach out to you and say, hey, Nelson, like I saw you build this, and I know you're looking for a role to move to Canada. Let's talk. So yeah, you just gotta be out there, and I'm hoping that'll work, right? I wish you luck, and as I said, reach out to me on LinkedIn, and we can talk about specific things. As I said, I'm not that experienced when someone from outside is just looking for a job and a work sponsorship to get into Canada. Like my story was different, but I'm sure we'll find others who have been through the same process and how they did it. Marco says, thank you, thank you. My user says, does name of colleges like Conestoga, Centennial, Lambton, etc. play important role in interviews? They don't. I feel like they don't. For me, it was St. Lawrence College. No offense to the college. Like I found it to be a pretty good experience at that college, but if someone from U Waterloo is interviewing, U Waterloo has a reputation that it lives up to. But again, college doesn't matter. It depends on how you will interview. Projects, prior experience, prior things that you have done in your career, that's what matters. So if you're just a student, I would say participate in hackathons, build hackathon projects. And if you win that, that is an awesome addition to your resume, that you participated in a hackathon and your project won. Even if you didn't win, like that'll give you like a really good uh, experience to talk about, because during hackathons, you build teams, you work on projects together, and that's what the industry is about. Like there are software engineers, DevOps engineers, cloud engineers that are put together in teams, and then you have to work on a problem that is given to you. And that's what hackathons are, basically, at a smaller scale. So participate in events, right? Not just hackathons. There are a lot of student meetups, student-led meetups that I think you should participate in too. I'm not sure if you go to Conestoga, Mayur, or you're coming. I forgot. I forgot if you're coming to Canada or you're already in Canada. But if you're already in Canada and you're at Conestoga, I go to their GDSC, which is the Google Developer Student Club meetups every now and then. So maybe we'll say hi. But yeah, attend meetups, network with like-minded folks. But yeah, college doesn't matter on your resume. I'm also pursuing BCA. I follow you and also Kunal. Oh, awesome. Yeah, Kunal is great. He advocates for, remote jobs. And to be honest, I'm not familiar with the FANG scene, but like I've gained some knowledge about how like FANG is in India. Like, here it's a different story, right? Um, but yeah, I've seen that people romanticize a lot about working at FANG, and I know Kunal has been advocating for remote work for quite a while now, and you know, you see him, you've seen his success. So there's definitely, you need to work hard, you need to like put in the time, put in the effort, but it's worth it. Does project management skills helps getting a cloud job? Absolutely, I think there are project managers like within cloud. So you'll see project managers that are working at GCP or working for Azure, right? So it definitely helps. But if you're asking specifically if you want to be a cloud engineer and you have project management skills, I think having any skills in the industry will put you a step up than someone who's just starting out. So yeah. Okay. So just a couple of thanks. Awesome. Um, I don't see any other comments or questions in the chat. Let me check if the chat plugin is still working. Seems like it is. Awesome. So if you can like the stream, that would be awesome. It's the best way to support this channel, right? I'm not selling any course or anything. Just like the stream, share it with your network. If you find my insights and my tips helpful, it's just the best way to support this channel. And I did release a video. I haven't done a long form video for quite a while, and by long form I mean like I think majority of the past videos that I did in last 2 to 3 months have been around 5 to 10 minutes. But I did a video on load balancing and I really went in depth on what load balancing is and how you can achieve it with AWS. So that was released yesterday, and it's an 18-minute long video with a hands-on lab in AWS. So go check it out if you're learning AWS. And yeah, just wanted to say, I finally did a long form video after quite a while. I don't know what was the last video I did that was that long. So let's see. Okay, so this is the video. What is load balancing and how to achieve it in AWS? And as I said, every other video it was around 5, 6, 10 minutes. for quite a while. Yeah. Hmm. I think it will be one of the Terraform ones. Oh, the REST API is 10 minutes. Um, the Windows subsystem for Linux is also 10 minutes, but it's a demo, so I'm not teaching things in that. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, it's an 18-minute video, but I'm proud of it. I loved it. Uh, I hope you love it too, so go check it out. Because I was sharing on Twitter with someone that, or not with someone, just sharing it. I was just sharing on Twitter that, hey, today I gave a lecture, or a lecture on load balancing, and I was showing the slides and stuff, and that tweet got like a good engagement, and people were saying, oh, where can I find this, and how do I sign up for your course? And I'm like, oh, I teach at a college, so there's it's not like an online thing that you can just sign up for. You'll have to admit yourself into the college and take this specific diploma to be enrolled in my course. So I'm like I already have the slides, I already have the diagrams, I already have the demo in AWS. Why not just make a YouTube video out of it? So I did, and I'm hoping to do that for other services too, like auto scaling, VPCs, right? So yeah, make sure you're subscribed to the channel because there's a lot of content coming next year. Load balancing video. Sorry, just sharing it in the chat. Okay. Okay. So Bhargav says it's really difficult to get a job as fresher in Canada. So my perception of difficult is everything is difficult if you don't put in the work. But if you put in the work, everything is easy. Does that make sense? Um, like if you don't study for an exam, of course you're gonna find it difficult when you're sitting the exam, right? But if you have prepared well and you have covered all the topics, you have covered the syllabus, you'll find it easy. So the point being said is, if you're confident in your skills, if you're confident in the work you have put in, the projects that you have built, you'll find it easy to land a job, even as a fresher. But if you're comparing it to someone who's experienced, to someone who just graduated from college, I would say look for entry level or junior or associate level jobs. Um, and I saw a post. I saw a post yesterday from Nokia in Canada. So they have a huge headquarters in Ottawa, I believe, and they're hiring, I think, 3 junior DevOps engineers. So yeah, I don't know if they're hiring in cloud, but yeah, you just have to look for job postings and see which one you like, qualify for. For let's say, you saw a job posting that says, familiarity with Azure, have worked with, different Azure services, but you excel in AWS and you're familiar with AWS services. I would at least read or watch few demos and familiarize myself with Azure a bit before even applying for that job that mentions Azure. So I would the point I'm trying to make is look at job postings that reflect your strengths, that reflect your skills that you have built as a student, right? Maybe you did Python in your college, maybe you did C++ in your diploma. Look at job postings that mention those. That way it's easier to land an interview, And once you have the interview, it all depends now on how you perform on those interviews. But I feel like I get these questions a lot that, hey, like I build projects, I build this, uh, I graduated, I'm skilled, but I'm not landing any interviews. I apply and I don't get any callbacks. The reason is your resume is not streamlined. So streamline your resume to things that are looking for the employer is looking for, and I'll say you'll do fine. Because if you're good at communicating, if you're good at portraying, if you're good at showing what you have built, and you can communicate with an audience, you'll do fine on your interviews. But it's the first step that students miss on is getting a call for the interview, and I think that can be you know achieved by streamlining your resume, streamlining your cover letter, spending some time on resume building, basically. Okay. It's gonna show you that job posting. There you go. Junior DevOps engineer. For someone who is in um, Canada and is okay with working out of North Gower. I don't even know where that is. It's in Ontario, but where? Okay, yeah. So it's close to Ottawa. Okay. So junior DevOps engineer. How can I share this? Share, copy link. And here we go. But yeah, I just found this opportunity yesterday, so I'm like, why not share it with you? And 17 hours ago. Okay, cool. Also, someone, if they're trying to connect with me, here's my LinkedIn. Okay, awesome. So yeah, there's that. So a couple of yes, yeah, agree comments. Awesome. Okay. So we are almost at that 60-minute mark. We still have 10 minutes left, but I don't see any questions. So if you have any last thoughts or interesting projects that you're building, feel free to share them in the chat. I'll share what I'm working on. Here, just give me a second. Okay, GitHub. So some of you are already familiar with the DevOps guide. I'm trying to reorder the phases now. Like I think I talked about this. I feel like version control should be before CI/CD, and that's what I'm gonna do. But this is similar to Learn to Cloud.guide. So this one is called the DevOps guide, and this basically talks about things you need to become a DevOps engineer. So infrastructure as code, version control system, configuration management, containerization, right? So all of that, and it's a lot more theoretical right now. It also has resources, um, but I'll add a project that will try to build from the first phase to monitoring and observability, like towards the end. And that way, you have something to showcase at the end, and you also have build up, not only learned about the technology behind DevOps, but also have a project that you can show where you have integrated, CI/CD, version control system, infrastructure as code, containerization, and monitoring. So yeah, that's what I'm working on. Um, but yeah, uh, other than that, I think that so this is the project that I'll be working on during the break that I have now. So looking forward to that. Other than that, um, I already told you about you know, some videos that are coming specifically for Azure Functions and AWS uh, stuff. So AWS load balancing, I already did that video yesterday. There will be one on VPC, auto scaling, and a lot more, but those are already in the works and will be released soon on the channel. So those are some things that I'm looking forward to for this break. Okay. Any questions in the chat? Oh, so my friend Amit is here. Amit says, "Hi Rishabh, I have a question. Do you think you just need the basics of coding or scripting to get into cloud, or you have to have a good knowledge and need to be pro in coding before studying cloud?" Basics. um, the reason why I say that is that's how I did it. I am nowhere near to be a developer or a programmer. I know how to put functions and scripts together to make something work. And that knowledge was, or is, in my case, is enough to be in cloud and DevOps. But as you practice, you will, remember that as you will practice, you'll keep building this skill and you'll keep getting better at programming. And that will help you again. But to get started with, I think basics, the understanding of different programming concepts is enough. And like you said, scripting is the part that will help you the most. So either Bash or Python, right, or PowerShell. These are some really important scripting languages that are listed on a lot of job postings and can help you a lot. Same question for Linux. I know the basics, but when it comes to actually understanding everything, it's too much. For Linux, again, I think it's the basics and you should know how different command works. So basically an understanding of the shell, the command line, and the bash is enough. So bash will be used for scripting. And then, you need to understand how you will navigate a Linux server. In order to do that, you need to understand command line, uh, like the commands itself. So like cd, mkdir, touch, echo, um, top, what else? Grep, tail, head, because that's how I investigated a lot of issues or um, went through log files, figured out where the log files were, right? And all of these commands are, for me, it was daily use. So I think it's important to know them. Hi Rishabh, I keep hearing the debate Python or Go, and it seems like people are leaning to go for backend. I think, yeah, I've been hearing about that too a lot, and people ask me if I've, you know, tried Go, and I've tried it, and by tried I mean installed it, did a few programs, nothing too fancy. But I think I'll stick to Python for now, and that's just me, right? I know there is a shift amongst, especially in DevOps, towards Go, and some people prefer Go over Python now. But for me, I'm just sticking to Python. Uh, Maybe I'll learn Go. Who knows? I'm gonna say this. Got it. Thanks, Rishabh. No, that was great questions. Yeah, I would say command line for Linux. Learn about most popular commands that sysadmin and cloud engineer needs to know. Bash and just programming concepts. So I think Python is a good choice again, Amit. So CS50 is a Harvard's course, and they recently did a Python version for that. I think going through that is kind of like it'll build a good foundational knowledge for you. Um, but yeah, I don't know what it means, or maybe you meant IT. Uh, but yeah, hi. So we are almost at the 1 hour mark. Again, this is your weekly streams for cloud, DevOps, or career related questions. You can find me every Tuesday, 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time on this live stream, or 9 p.m. Indian Time on these live streams. I try to answer all the questions that the community has regarding cloud, DevOps, or their careers, and maybe sometimes show. I think the last stream I showed some swag that I got at the AWS reInvent in Vegas, and then some other times I try to repair my PC. I had an old build that died on me, so I was repairing that. And other times it's just Q&A. So I hope you like these streams, and I'll be ending this in almost few seconds. But yeah, if you can like the stream and make sure you're subscribed to the channel so that you don't miss out on the cool stuff that I come out with cloud and DevOps. That's the best way to support this channel. Okay, so this is Amit saying, I've been studying Python from the last 2 weeks and got a basic understanding. So I guess I'll start studying for the actual beginner certificate. Yeah, so certifications for programming languages is kind of a weird place for me. Like I feel like, it's a good way to have structured learning. By structured learning, I mean, because you have modules, you have like each section that you have to go through. So it gives you a structure to learn. Similarly, like you might have a structure in college where you go through each chapter one by one. That part of it is good, but sitting an exam for a programming language is something that I don't get. Okay. Sorry. So Amit meant cloud certification. Awesome. Yeah. Okay. But I'm just gonna share this. CS50 Python. So yeah. This is like a 8-week. You can do it like faster, but this is like a 8-week course by Harvard. And I think it's awesome. Like I've done the regular CS50 in the past. This one is specifically in Python. I think it'll help you understand those concepts that you're learning about a programming language even more better, right? The other resource I find helpful is Microsoft Learn Python. Yeah, this is great. So yeah, I think those two should be enough for just starting out. But yeah, I wish you luck. And Amit, so he's a friend of mine. You know where to reach me out if you have any further questions. And thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. And yeah, I'll see you next Tuesday, same time, same channel, and same day. So, peace.